1 in 3. That's how many American men will face physical violence, sexual assault, or stalking by an intimate partner. 1 in 3 women worldwide will endure physical or sexual abuse, most often by someone they know. But domestic abuse isn't just bruises. It's manipulation, it's fear, it's control that seeps into every part of your life. I'm Ingrid Dutton, and I survived it. Then I created 1 in 3 so no one else has to suffer in silence. Each week, we break that silence together. Occasionally joined by survivors, loved ones, and experts, we talk about the pain, yes, but also about the healing, resilience, and the fight to reclaim your life. This podcast is more than awareness, it's a lifeline. And a reminder, you are seen, you are heard, you are never alone. Search for 1 in 3 wherever you get your podcasts, because every voice matters and every story deserves to be heard.
This is Double You by Stuart Stafford. Life can make a twin of you when you occupy the same air. You can't feel them twinning you until your doppelganger's there. You're twice as sapient you were, cloned and replicated new fellows. You're not feeling yourself just now. Feats and phrases are all echoes. But if someone seeks out a quote, you tell them to ask the mirror you. Only things trumping who you are you and matching double you.
Was that Dr. Seuss?
No, it was Stuart Stafford.
Stuart Smalley?
Yes. That poem has nothing to do with my story, but I couldn't figure out how a good intro, and so I looked up quotes of doppelgangers.
So, super excited. I'm Jessica.
I'm Ingrid, and welcome to another situation. Well, obviously, you have no idea what I'm going to talk about because that had nothing to do with what I'm about to talk about.
Do you think people have doppelgangers? Like, do you think there's people who are around? I mean, there's so many people in the world.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's multiple people that you look like probably or resemble somehow.
Outside of family, anyways.
Yes. So I'm going to get started. My sources are Wikipedia. This time, Wikipedia was a huge source. Let's see. Hein Online, H-E-I-N Online. Core. Hein. Core, which was the origins of the English Court of Criminal Appeal by Ken Whiteway. The Julian Burnside website. The Oxford University Press blog from 1/21/2018, and part of a book called Expect Me Tomorrow by Christopher Priest.
I think I know what this is.
Yeah, I'm sure you do.
It's an English story about doppelgangers. Doppelgangers,
folks. All right. I'm going to take you back to 1877. You did what, 1850 last week?
1850s. Yeah. 1851. Mm-hmm.
We love the 1800s, apparently.
It's the Old West. How cool is it?
So I'm taking you back to 1877. Queen Victoria, widowed by Prince Albert, is proclaimed Empress of India. The United States' 19th president, Rutherford B. Hayes, is sworn in despite Samuel J. Tilden winning the popular vote. Also, the United States Native American tribes are attempting to relocate to avoid U.S. troops and hunger while others continue to fight in multiple battles and wars throughout the year. Samurai revolt against the new imperial government in Japan. Russia declares war on the Ottoman Empire. Meanwhile, Tchaikovsky's ballet Swan Lake debuts in Moscow. The world's first commercial telephone is installed by Alexander Graham Bell in Canada. Wimbledon hosts the first lawn tennis tournament. Thomas Edison invented the phonograph. And, important to us for more than one reason, the microphone was patented in the United States by Emil Berliner.
That was a lot of monumental things that happened in 1 year.
Yeah, and I feel like that was a really long time ago, and I feel like these things were not that long ago. Does it make sense?
It does. It also makes you sound old, but you're not. But it makes you sound old.
It was
Back
just,
in my day,
yes.
I had a photograph. Okay.
But I mean, it's crazy. Wimbledon, the phonograph, the microphone.
I didn't know that Rutherford B. Hayes was not the popular vote. That's interesting.
Yes.
I never even heard of the other dude.
And none of that has anything to do with my story either.
Okay.
I just thought
fun facts about 1873.
Setting the scene. 1877.
Oh, 77. Oh,
yeah.
100 years before a good year.
Yes. My year.
Mine.
The year of Ingrid and Star Wars.
Oh, goodness.
Now, remember, this is 1877. Women were dependent on their husbands. When a husband would divorce or abandon his wife or even die, the women were considered to be fallen. It was often assumed that a fallen woman was in that position due to her own infidelity or dishonesty, which, of course, that could be the case in some instances. She would often have nothing to her name other than her children, whom she would somehow have to care for. On some occasions, she may have a few valuable items to her name, like jewelry, watches, or pictures and frames. A man known only as John Smith would prey on these women. Now, I also read that he targeted women of loose virtue. I'm not sure if this term is referring to other women or if it was a term given because of the false assumptions of the fallen women. But regardless, he was able to identify and target vulnerability. He would meet the women on the streets and engage with them. They would learn to trust him, at which point he would manipulate them out of the little possessions they had. One such woman was Louisa Leonard. And I need to quickly say that the following story of Louisa Leonard was taken from the book Expect Me Tomorrow. And this book, which I didn't realize as I was reading and loving the book, it's fiction, but it does, but it does have some factual even.
Is this whatever scary pasta story?
Well, sort of like it starts off and it's telling this stuff and I'm like trucking along. I'm skimming through a lot of things and it's talking about these brothers and I was like, okay. And I'm jotting down notes. And then all of a sudden this guy was born in 2002. And I was like, okay. And he's 48 years old now. And I'm like, wait a second. That would be 2050. This is only 2023. Wait, is this a typo? So I'm like, oh my God.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fun.
Yeah, that's super fun.
Is this story true? Wikipedia and a fictional book are your sources.
No, this actually is 100% true because there's something that changes are made because of this. So, okay. So this short little story I'm about to tell, I found Louisa Leonard's name in other sources. So she's a real person. It's just the specifics of this story may not be completely accurate, but the story, like what happens, aligns with the other things that I've read. So it sounds very similar. So, okay. I was so mad when I got to the chapter of 2050.
That's so funny.
I was just about to text you too and say, I'm really liking this today. This is really fun. Oh my gosh. Okay. All right. So again, the specific details might be a little off, but I like this story, so I'm keeping it. So,
is this now Ingrid's truth?
This is Ingrid's truth, yeah. So okay. Louisa Leonard was able to describe meeting John Smith, who called himself Lord Winton de Willoughby, near Charing Cross in London. She described him as well-dressed and aristocratic in nature. The chance meeting happened as Lord Willoughby had mistaken Louisa as someone else. As they conversed, he informed her that he recently lost his housekeeper and thought she would be a suitable replacement. The conversation went on the following day, with he describing she would need to be dressed well in fine clothes and jewelry, as she would be greeting and serving important guests in his St. John's Wood home. And this was known to be a very exclusive suburb. He was going to be leaving some garments at Redfern's, which was a well-known couturier. He provided her with an advance of £50 on her earnings. He also informed her he would be ordering jewelry for her, to which she provided her ring and wristwatch or earrings. I read that as well, for sizing. Unfortunately, his valet had forgotten to place money in his suit that morning, and he needed to borrow some from Louisa. She happily handed him 11 shillings, which was the entirety of money she had. Louisa never saw him again. Redfern's had never heard of him. The check advance was presumed forged by the bank and therefore unable to be cashed, and her jewelry had been pawned. So Louisa presented this story to the judge and 12 jurors during a trial held in May of 1877. 14 other women presented differing stories with the same plot of manipulation. John Smith, a name often used by criminals as an alias, was sentenced to 5 years. John Smith maintained his innocence and never produced any other name, and there was no way to determine his true identity. So John Smith served a sentence under that name and was released early due to good behavior in April 1881 under the same name. In 1841, Adolf Beck was born in Norway. He was educated as a chemist. In his 20s, he had somewhat of a wanderlust. He worked as a clerk and shipping broker in England in 1865. In 1868, he traveled to South America and pursued a career as a singer. During that time, he also found work as a shipbroker and would also buy and sell houses. And I'm not sure if that means he worked as like what a realtor would be today, or if he was like a flipper. I don't know, but it doesn't really matter. He fared well and he was able to save some money. In fact, he gained a commission of £8,000 for just one sale. In 1885, upon returning to England, he attempted to capitalize on his savings by investing in a copper mine in Norway. Unfortunately, this did not produce any money. Adolf kept pouring money into the mine until he eventually had to attempt to sell it. But nobody was interested in purchasing it. This left him near poverty. He ended up indebted to the hotel he was living in Covent Garden. He even had to borrow money from his secretary. Despite his debt, Adolf always kept up with his appearances when in public. He would don a frock coat, top hats, and monocle, carry a cane, and wear his mustache well waxed.
Fancy.
His doppelganger was Mr. Peanut.
That's the monocle.
Yes. Or the guy from Monopoly.
Oh, yes.
He had his usual attire on when he stepped out of his building on 135 Victoria Street in London. A quite disgruntled Adolf Beck, I don't know if that's how you pronounce her name, approached him quickly as he politely smiled at her. She greeted him with a, "Sir, I know you." She then began accusing him of swindling her out of money. He walked past her straight to a police officer, stating she was a prostitute who was bothering him. She countered with this story. 3 weeks earlier, on that very street, he had walked up to unmarried Ottilie, asking if she was Lady Everton. She corrected him. Finding him gentlemanly, she struck up a conversation with him. He introduced himself as Lord Willoughby. She mentioned she was on her way to a flower show, to which he said was a waste of time. You see, his Lincolnshire estate had such grand gardens it required 6 gardeners to tend to it. Ottilie ended up inviting Lord Willoughby to her home the next day for tea. While enjoying each other's While enjoying each other's company, Lord Willoughby invited Ottilie to accompany him to the French Riviera on his yacht. He mentioned she would need a new wardrobe, to which he wrote a check for £40. She would also need new jewelry. He was more than happy to purchase it for her, but he would need her watch and ring to get the appropriate size. Shortly after he left that day, Ottilie noticed more items were missing. She quickly ran to the bank to cash the check, which of course was discovered to be fake. Upon hearing this story, Adolf was promptly arrested. Investigators discovered 22 women had presented with similar stories of a gray-haired gentleman swindling them over the last 2 years. A lineup was arranged of 10 to 15 men, which included Adolf. He was the only gray-haired man and was quickly identified by all the women as the man posing as Lord Willoughby. He was charged with 10 misdemeanors and 4 felonies. The felonies were based on the previous conviction of John Smith in 1877. The committal hearing was held in 1895, at which then retired police constable Ellis Spurrell gave this statement. In 1877, I was in the Metropolitan Police Reserve. On May 7th, 1877, I was present at the Central Criminal Court, where the prisoner in the name of John Smith was convicted of feloniously stealing earrings and a ring and 11 shillings of Louisa Leonard and was sentenced to 5 years penal servitude. I produced a certificate of that conviction. The prisoner is the man. There is no doubt whatever. I know quite well what is at stake on my answer, and I say without a doubt, he is the man. This statement is very important because while John Smith was convicted in 1877, Adolf Beck lived in Peru from 1875 until 1882. Adolf's defense team attempted to bring this to attention. However, the case of 1877 evidence was denied admittance. A handwriting analyzer unwaveringly stated Adolf's writing matched those of the forged checks. He was convicted.
That is not valid in a court of law anymore, by the way.
I know that, but this was 1877.
I know. Just thought I'd throw it in.
Trying to show off that you're smart.
No. That train has gone. It's fine.
He was convicted and sentenced to 7 years. His solicitor petitioned for a review multiple times. One petition came after the discovery that the prisoner, John Smith, from 1877 was of Jewish descent and circumcised. Adolf Beck was neither. This didn't change his sentencing, nor his conviction, and he was paroled in 1901 for good behavior.
What does circumcision have anything to do with any of anything? Oh, because when they actually had T, they did have D. Is that what you're saying?
No.
Oh.
That's what I thought. That's what I thought at first. She gave her V to the D while they had T.
V did the D to the D.
But no, it was because when he was a prisoner, the prison guards see them. Anyway, there's now this proof that he's not the same guy. And
that
so,
Adolf is not John Smith.
Correct.
Okay.
But they didn't change anything. He still had to serve his time. The only thing they changed is, I guess, when they would identify their criminals back then, they would have, so 1877, they'd have the letter D followed by a number. And I didn't write it down, but it was like 532 or 523, something like that. So his prisoner number was D523. Well, then if you're reconvicted at a later date, another letter is added. So for this second conviction, they added the letter W. So his prisoner number was DW523 or whatever. And after they said, right, so after they decided he's not the same guy, all they did was take away the D or the W. They just took away one of the letters.
Huh. But they didn't ship him off to Australia, New Wales, or Tanzania? No?
I suppose no. Perhaps that was no longer a thing. A lot happened in 20 years.
Okay, I'm so interested in how this turns out. Okay, I'll shut up.
So he got paroled in 1901 for good behavior. On March 22nd, 1904, Paulina Scott filed a report with the police that a distinguished gray-haired man stole her jewelry after meeting her on the street and complimenting her. The inspector immediately suspected Adolf. On April 15th of that year, Paulina Scott approached Adolf as he was leaving his flat and accused him of stealing her jewelry. He, of course, denied the accusations. She informed him the police were waiting for him. He freaked out, naturally, and panicked, and he took off running, which the police then felt proved that he was guilty. On June 27th, 63-year-old Adolf was once again on trial. He was identified by 5 women and found guilty. The judge had some reservations, so he delayed sentencing. On July 7th, Inspector John Kane visited the Tottenham Court Road police station. He listened puzzled as he was told of a man who had just swindled a young woman out of some jewelry. The suspect had been arrested at a pawn shop. Inspector Kane had been present at Adolf Beck's case and was quite familiar with the MO. The problem was Beck was already in custody. The new prisoner was a gray-haired man, about the same height as Adolf, and had a similar mustache. The man was older and had a larger build than Adolf. Importantly, he had a scar on the right side of his neck, which was one characteristic Adolphe Messonnier remembered. She said that, and Adolf Beck didn't have it, but she said it's still him. So, yeah. Despite this man giving his name as William Thomas, the inspector brought in 3 of the 5 women who had recently identified Beck, as well as John Smith's landlord from 1877. All of them identified William Thomas as the true swindler. With the confirmation from his former landlord, Thomas confessed to everything. William Thomas was also known as William Wyatt and William Weiss. His true name, however, was Wilhelm Meyer. He was born in Vienna, and he had a successful career growing coffee in Hawaii and later setting up a practice as a physician in Adelaide. Once he moved to London, he fell on hard times and turned to swindling. When Adolf was first convicted, Meyer went back to the United States and waited out his prison term. He then returned to London and returned to his criminal ways. He pleaded guilty on September 15th and was sentenced to 5 years. Adolf Beck was granted a royal pardon on July 29th, 1904. He was initially given a compensation of £2,000, which was later increased to £5,000 due to the outcry of the people. And this case was a direct reason the Court of Criminal Appeal was created, which reviews convictions. And our unlucky friend Adolf Beck died secondary to pleurisy and bronchitis on December 7th, 1909, just 5 years after his second conviction.
Oh, poor guy.
Yeah.
Like, life isn't hard enough about being on hard times and having to borrow money from your secretary, but then you get accused of stuff?
And it's like actually serve time.
Yeah. So the Wilhelm his name was never John Smith. Like that was never considered one of his aliases.
Well, when he was convicted, he just gave the name John Smith. He probably didn't want to use one of the other names that he would throw out because they could maybe track it to him. So he just came up with a generic name. I'll post pictures. Wikipedia did have pictures of each of the men, and there are some similarities, but there's some definite differences as well.
Well, I mean, that's messed up that they had like a lineup and there's only one guy with gray hair.
Yes.
Like, not cool.
We're going to have the one guy we think is guilty and other guys that look nothing like him.
Actually, just put females. Just put females up there with him. Might as well have. Good grief.
Yeah. I mean, they could have at least put Mr. Peanut.
That was good. I
Yeah,
actually wondered who done it. I thought John Smith was the innocent one at first, actually.
Yeah, it was tricky. I tried to tell it trickily.
You did.
Trickstery.
You trickster, you.
Yes. Okay, let's do some B's. Be aware of scams in your area.
Be cautious giving your jewelry to people.
Right. It's interesting that scam, it's kind of similar to stuff now. I guess it's all like, give me something and I'll give you something back.
Give me your bank account number and I'll deposit $40,000 in there tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't be a swindler.
Don't be the only gray-haired man in a lineup. Just don't.
Check. I've got that covered. Okay, so we'll be back next week, and I think we are planning on doing secret societies.
Yes.
Oh, was that a secret?
No. But what society we're doing is a secret. Okay, bye. If you'd like to reach out to us or submit your situation, please contact us at anothersituationpodcast@gmail.com or find us on Instagram at Another Situation Podcast. We're also on Facebook at Another Situation.
Another Situation is produced and edited by Point 5 Pinoy. Music is written and performed by Tim Crow.